Thank you, Mr Acting Deputy President. And I rise and am pleased to rise on behalf of the Labor Party in support of this private senator's bill and join my Labor colleagues in applauding the courage of those who have brought this bill forward, both here in the Senate and its equivalent in the other place. Of course, Australians have for some time now been terribly horrified by the revelation, after revelation, of the cruelty of the live export trade, a cruelty that I think drew its last straw when the devastating footage was aired on 60 Minutes on the 8th of April, which made it very clear at that point in time, yet again, of thousands of sheep that have been suffering over a period of time now and dying on the Awasi Express. Filmed, of course, in secret, but aired publicly during those shipments from Australia in 2017. And then a separate investigation again in August 2017 in an incident on a trip from Perth to Doha found that 2,400 sheep died on the Awasi Express due to extreme heat, almost twice the acceptable mortality rate. The Australian community, Mr Deputy Acting President, wants this live sheep trade to end. However, it's not only the Australian community that is firmly behind this policy change, but it is the science as well. Science that cannot be ignored, but continues, unfortunately, to be ignored by this current Turnbull government. I do believe that regardless of the good intent, and I say that clearly, the good intent of this bill and those in the other place, that it is only a matter of time before this live export trade, sheep trade, ends. And that is because, with the onset of the northern summer, it is once again a time of extreme risk for Australian sheep. Now, I heard the evidence during recent Senate estimates, evidence from the McCarthy review, the government's own commissioned review, that showed the Australian Veterinary Association confirmed that, regardless of stocking density, extreme heat conditions and resulting mass mortality events cannot be prevented by the industry. Cannot be prevented. But what is so concerning is that, regardless of that being made clear by departmental officials during Senate estimates, this government will not be accepting those key recommendations from the McCarthy review relating to revising the heat stress risk assessment model from one based on mortality rates to one based on animal welfare measures. Why is this the case? Why is the government ignoring the science? Why is the government ignoring key recommendations from its own administered review? Well, the science was laid out clear in graphic detail during the detailed briefings from the RSPCA's Chief Scientist, Dr Bitter Jones's, and Animal Australia's Chief Investigator, Lynn White's, briefing to parliamentarians that I hosted on behalf of parliamentary friends of the RSPCA with my co-chair, Jason Wood, in May this year. And as I said then, Labor believes very strongly that a transition away from the live sheep export trade will increase the value of the product we produce here, and it will build on our own brand as a producer of clean, green and safe and ethical animal products being produced right here in Australia. And, of course, even more importantly, create jobs, create a vibrant industry for those farmers to have their sheep meat be produced right here in Australia. And that is important because it means higher returns for our farmers, and it means, of course, an improvement in animal welfare standards. The RSPCA, like other stakeholders, has welcomed Labor's commitment to ending live sheep exports and has endorsed our approach of a collaboration and consultation to secure a better future for Australian farmers, for Australian sheep farming. This is about growing our sheep farming industry right here in Australia and growing it through jobs, whilst at the same time having that benchmark of decent animal welfare standards, something this government cannot stand by and say it is implementing at all when it won't even implement key recommendations of its own administered review. Department officials acknowledged to me during Senate estimates that the recommendations from the McCarthy review would lead to the end of the summer trade. That is why this is not happening. Well, what we say is that there should be an immediate halt on the summer trade, because it is the summer trade is when high temperatures of climatic conditions cause the damage to the sheep that leads to their death, that led to 2,400 sheep dying last August. When is the government going to wake up and recognise that it's simply ignoring the science and is ignoring what is needed and what is expected by our Australian community? They need to face the facts and the science. They need to face reality and accept that the best way forward is to commit to the end of this live sheep trade. And this morning, of course, our own Shadow Minister, Joel Fitzgibbon, provided our Labor's private members bill, which complements the bills that have been debated both in the other place through Susan Lee's and also this morning through the senators that have brought these bills on in this place. It is growing. The support is continuing to grow for the end of this live sheep trade, and I don't think this government should be standing in its way.